What's going on, champions? This is Julien Stoutt, licensed personal trainer, licensed PE teacher, world record powerlifter, special education teacher, health teacher, here to take the fear out of fitness. Plane's about to take off. Classes in session. Here we go. Guys, let me ask you a question. How long have I been telling you that BMI should not be used as a form of measurement to determine whether or not someone is or is not obese? I'll wait. Because, I am ready to shake everyone to the white meat. Shake you until you are no longer flesh. You are merely bone. Because for years, I have been telling people, stop using this outdated measurement. It is not accurate. Because it is not telling you who is actually fat. It is not telling you who is actually unhealthy. What I've been screaming from the mountaintops about is to not do this, because you are not only putting people in an unhealthy category, but you're also creating an unhealthy disposition in especially women. And the backlash that you're going to experience eventually is morbid obesity for real. Well, the time has come, because I need to be standard corrected, because my last video, I actually said that BMI isn't particularly racist. I didn't say it wasn't racist, because I know for a fact that there are some people, but particularly black people, particularly people of color, that are larger than the average. I have been screaming from the mountaintops that it is not fair to Samoans to be using the BMI index to determine whether or not they're fit or whether they're healthy, because you don't know what you're talking about. They're naturally large people, just like many black people are naturally large people. However, in the midst of that, that does not excuse people who are in fact obese from not being healthy. Now, I digress, because I'm going to share my computer. BMI measurement deemed racist in new medical report. This is politics, not medicine. And when I read this article, my jaw hit the floor, because I should have known. I should have known better. I should have known that this is merely a tool used to exclude people of color from the medical healthcare system. So it says here under the title, Dr. Mark Siegel says cancel culture fueled AMA guidance, moving in the wrong direction. Ironically, this was published in June. The American Medical Association is now discouraging the use of body mass index, calling it an imperfect and problematic means of assessing body fat, because it doesn't measure body fat. For holy Christ's sakes, for flying uncles catching kangaroos, I am trying to get y'all to understand it does not assess body fat. It assesses weight over height. How do you know it's body fat? It could be muscle. I've been saying this for almost a decade now. Literally. And claiming it has been used for racist exclusion. The comments were included in a report presented at the 2023 AMA annual meeting in Chicago, Illinois in June, because it says earlier this month, but this was written in June. BMI cutoffs are based on the imagined ideal Caucasian and do not consider a person's gender or ethnicity. Oh, it even goes worse. BMI cutoffs are based on imagined ideal Caucasians. Oh, guess what? A lot of you Caucasians, quote unquote, got a lot of black in you. You don't even know it. Newsflash, we're all mixed up. Some of your great-great-grandmommies and your great-great-granddaddies were passing for white. They were black, at least half black. And then they passed on their genes to you. So those of y'all women, specifically the white women, that have badonkadonks, looking like they straight out of an African brochure from the lower waist, from the waist down, guess what? There's a small chance you got it from your African ancestry. But, and also, pun intended, also, the point of the matter is, not everybody's built the same. I already spoke on this again. So wait for it, people. In about another 10 years, based on this, you're going to find out that there's more than 3 body types. You heard it here first. You're going to find out it's not just 3 body types. There's no way that is humanly possible. It is a series of complex designations for the human genome. How in God's green earth are we classified to merely 3? Yeah, small, medium, and large does work. But what about small, medium, large, upper body? Small, medium, large, lower body. Short, medium, tall. Along with those other combinations. Why is it going to take everybody 15 years to catch up to what it is that I've been trying to tell y'all for almost 10 years? But I digress. The AMA also claimed that the history of the BMI is rooted in eugenics, which is the scientifically inaccurate theory that humans can be improved through selective breeding of populations. Yeah, okay. Sports totally destroys that theory, right? So, get that out of here. What is BMI? I already been through this, but I'm gonna read it. First created back in the mid-1800s by a Belgian mathematician named Lambert Adolphe Jacques Quetelet, the BMI has been the international standard for measuring obesity since the 1980s. And again, it doesn't measure true obesity. It measures your height over your weight. It never has accounted for muscle mass. Proof? Go talk to a bodybuilder. Walking around at 10% body fat, at 5 feet 4 inches tall, weighing 210 pounds. And guess what their doctors tell them? You're overweight and you need to lose weight. And guess what every bodybuilder on the planet has ever done when going to see their doctor and hearing those words from the doctor's mouth to their ears? They laugh. When you can lift the things that I lift, when you can do the things that I do, I'm not sitting on the couch eating bonbons and getting chubby. You see my abs? I can wash your clothes on them. You see these guns? I could rip a fender off of a semi truck if I wanted to. Do you see these legs? I can push a small vehicle down the road by myself. And you are calling me obese? I'm so shredded, you could call me cheese. Stop it. According to many sources, though, some experts have questioned its validity. I don't have to question its validity. It's stupid. Height over weight doesn't even immensely touch on a macro level what your body fat percentage is. Newsflash, the Hulk, if he were a real individual, would be considered obese. 7 feet tall, 1,000 pounds. Closest human beings we've ever had that even come close to that is Andre the Giant, The Big Show, and Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal was 7 feet, 1 inch tall, weighing 300 pounds, and the young man, when he was that size, he was very young, looked skinny. It wasn't until he joined the Lakers and he was Shaq Diesel weighing pretty much 400 pounds. Did Shaq look like he filled out? Did it look like Shaq was beyond huge? Shaquille O'Neal has reportedly said that his current weight is 315 to 335 pounds. Just keep that in mind. You gonna tell Shaq he's fat? A person's BMI is calculated by dividing his or her weight by the square of his or her height in feet. Hello? Where do you hear body fat? Where do you hear body fat? Where do you hear body fat? Nowhere. For example, someone who's 5'5" and 135 pounds would have a BMI of 23.2. Guess who that used to describe? Me when I was in the military. At first. On the BMI scale, any number lower than 18.5 is considered underweight, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. A measurement between 18 and 18.5 and less than 25 falls within the healthy weight range. Mine's at the current moment is 26. My abs are showing. When I flex, there's ripples in my chest. Where am I fat? I don't have Dunlop. I still got my Usher and I'm almost 47 years old. Shoot, Usher got his Usher. Okay? And he's 47. This is not a game. It's not by chance. But I'm fat according to, I'm overweight according to BMI. This is part of the reason why you should realize how ridiculous the BMI scale is. When you're telling people who are just simply larger than average that they're obese is moronic. When you can clearly see with your own two eyes, they are in phenomenal shape. Someone with a BMI between 25 and 30 is considered overweight. Like I said, I'm at 26. Any measurement 30 or higher indicates obesity, meaning which actually saying that you are fat. You are carrying excess, extreme excesses of body fat, which is what the true definition of obesity is. While a number of over 40 qualifies as severe obesity according to BMI scale. Now, I am willing to bet that anybody over a 35 is troublesome at minimum at the weight that they're at. All right? But let's get further. Some say BMI is linked to white supremacy and history of harm. The National Alliance for Eating Disorders, hello. Why do you think they got eating disorders? Because somebody looked at a thick woman and told her she was fat. When what you really should have paid attention to is her genetics and see that she comes from a long line of large people. And maybe, just maybe, the height that went along with the muscle mass didn't come her way. She is 4 foot, 10 inches tall, and weighs 150 pounds. But everybody else in her family is 5'8", 150 pounds. She got all the muscle, didn't get the height. It happens. Want to know how I know? I'm 5 feet 4 inches tall with a 5 foot 10 inch wingspan. I have the leg stride of a man that is 5 foot 10 inches tall, which suggests the only reason why I'm not 5'10" is because of my torso. Which means I was cheated out of height. What if this 150 pounds and muscular strength that I'm carrying is the equivalent muscular strength of a man that was 5'10" with the muscle density at that height? Which means I have the strength of a man that's 185 pounds at 150. Which actually, if you think about it, is pretty accurate. I can bench press 275 pounds at my maximum strength 6 years ago. I'm only weaker right now because of my injuries. I deadlifted 430 pounds for reps. I got video. I squat 365 pounds. Probably more closer to 375 prior to my injuries. Sounds about equivalent to a man that is about 185 pounds and is in shape. So what this is telling you, what I'm trying to explain to you is you are creating. As a matter of fact, in one of my videos, I warned, as a matter of fact, it was probably the BMI video. You are going to create a series of people with eating disorders if you do not stop judging them based on BMI and instead get a factual picture of who they are. I've had doctors tell my wife she needs to be 125 pounds. If you've seen my wife's physique, my wife is obese. She is clinically obese. We're not hiding that. But my wife is quite a large woman. Why? Because her mother was large. Her brother is large. Stands at about 6'6", weighing about 260 pounds. She didn't get the height, but she got the mass that goes along with that height. So therefore, guess what? She's not going to be anywhere near 120 pounds, even in her best shape. I've done the calculations. She is walking around at 123 pounds of muscle alone. Anorexia sets in when your body fat percentage is well below what is recommended for your gender. Females, 17.5%. If you're under that, you're borderline anorexic until you get down to the horrible numbers. And if your muscle mass starts to waste away as a result of it as well, then you're in a severe case of anorexia. And there's a whole host of health problems that come along with it. My wife has 123 pounds of muscle mass alone. What makes you think she is going to be 120 pounds at a healthy weight? She needs an extra 20% of body fat on her to look like the average woman. And when I say average, I mean based on what the appropriate amount of body fat is meant to have. So if we do the math, that's an extra 25 pounds added to her frame. The minimum my wife can weigh is 145 pounds. Minimum. On the high end, she could weigh as much as 165 pounds and still look phenomenal, still look as good as any woman walking. But at 165 pounds, they'll tell her she's fat. Again. Do you see where I'm going with this? Okay. The National Alliance for Eating Disorders, based in Florida, has voiced its support of the AMA's recommendation to de-emphasize the BMI. It has also called for it to be scrapped altogether due to its racist and sexist standards and long history of harm, including harm towards those most marginalized in our communities. We advocate for the recognition of weight diversity. Okay, let me be clear on this. There is a weight diversity within a healthy and attractive range. It does not mean it's okay to be fat. It means it's okay to be large. Some women are going to be larger than others. That's okay. But I don't want to hear no nonsense from somebody that's 5'2", weighing 300 pounds, and then tries to tell me weight diversity. No. 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 Absolutely not. And hope that the medical field prioritizes health measurement tools that take into account the many factors that contribute to and impact a person's health status, specifically the medication they take. Countless of clients that I've had to re-educate and retrain to get themselves back to a healthy weight because of the medication that they're on. That explodes their weight for a multitude of reasons. Another eating disorders support organization, Project Heal in Brooklyn, New York, echoes the claims that the BMI is rooted in racism. Now this is where we're going to go with it. The BMI is based on research from the 1830s meant solely to study populations of white European men and does not have the medical relevance or authority it has been purported to have. BMI has for decades been held inaccurately as a gold standard for the measurement of health, but its origins as well as its uses are rooted in white supremacy. Never mind rooted in white supremacy, is rooted in idiocy. It's the most idiotic form of measurement of anybody's health I've ever seen in my entire life, because it does not measure any form of what it is being used to determine what it is. How do you tell somebody they're fat because of their weight divided by their height? How? When we already know that there's such a thing called body fat percentage, body composition. We know this to be the gold standard, but yet we don't use it. It's not racist. It's called good medicine, doctor says. Kick rocks. Dr. Mark Siegel, professor of medicine at NYU Langone Medical Center and a Fox News medical contributor, spoke out against the AMA stance on the Ingram angle earlier this week. I didn't believe the AMA was going to get involved in cancel culture, but now they're canceling the body mass index, which is the thing I look at to at least start me off in the direction of obesity. Start you off. First indicator, not the only indicator like you lazy doctors do. A lot of the doctors that are out here are lazy. They look at the BMI index, they make a snap judgment based on their visual effects of you, and then they make a determination of whether or not you're obese. Bull crap. You want to know how easy it is for a woman to be determined to be fat? Breast size. That alone can easily sway the body fat percentage of the average woman if her breast size is larger than a C. She's walking around in a triple D. If she's walking around with triple D breasts, she has 12 extra pounds of body fat sitting on her chest, and it increases in weight the bigger the cup size. You carry 2 milk jugs on your chest every day, created by fat, and you tell me how lean they're going to think you are. Unless your arms look like toothpicks. But what if you're haughty? What if your dad was an NFL running back or a defensive lineman? Or has the genetics of one? What are you going to do then? You're going to tell that young lady that she's fat when there's not enough muscle mass on her to even... there's a lot of muscle mass on her. There's not enough body fat to even declare her to be fat. But because she has thighs thicker than 2 of yours combined, she's fat. That's laziness. And shame on this Dr. Mark Siegel, for even trying to say this. Because yes, starts you off in the right direction. But then, lazy, go take her body fat percentage. Go take their body fat percentage. And then when you take their body fat percentage and you find out that they're under 25% as a female, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have to eat crow and shut up and leave her alone. If they're under 20 as a male, you're going to have to shut up and leave him alone. Because you're making a snap judgment as opposed to scientific measurement. The doctor said he uses BMI as a basic guideline to determine whether a patient is in a category that requires closer monitoring. But guess what? You wouldn't have to do closer monitoring if you knew what their body fat percentage was, morons. None of you. All you got to do, for God's sakes, get a bioelectrical impedance machine, and it'll shoot electricity through their body, small amounts of electricity through their body, and determine whether or not within a 7% standard deviation on whether or not this person has a high level of body fat. But no. Plus or minus. Meaning, if it says you have a 24% body fat, you could be as low as 17 or as high as 31. Now you have a measurement that you can look at and say, hey, this looks a little dangerous, buddy. You might want to shrink your weight down just a small tidbit. How much? 10%, depending on who it is. If it's a male, 10%. Female, 5%. Do I need to get into the reasons why? It's not racist. It's called good medicine. Bull. You know what? Don't make me curse. It's not good medicine when you're using lazy forms of measurement to determine whether or not someone is healthy. That's like you putting your hand on somebody's chest to feel their heartbeat and say, it's beating, so you're all right, when they're complaining about chest pains. That's like you drawing their blood, sticking your finger in, putting it in your mouth and going, tastes metallic to me. You don't have diabetes. Because, if your blood sugar was high, your blood would be sweet. Do you see how stupid that sounds? That's like saying, in order for you to say you have a stroke, you have to first complain about a really bad headache. Dr. Siegel says he believes the AMA's new policy was fueled by the body positivity movement. It was not. Morons. I don't understand. I really don't understand this. I don't understand. How are you taking a measurement that does not measure body fat and determining whether or not somebody's fat? That's like taking a measurement that doesn't account for height and telling them they're tall. Oh, you're about 6 of my arms tall. You must be real tall. If you are as long as 6 of my arms, actually you would be. But still, would you use arms as a form of measurement since everybody's arm is different? Because you might be taller than everyone else? The body positivity movement had nothing to do with this. Every exercise scientist I know, and every exercise scientist since I was in college, has been talking about how the BMI is not a good measurement for obesity. This is not a new thing. This is not a secret. I've been out of college now for 15 years. I've been hearing it from when I got to college, which is 18 years ago. Lord knows if it was been going on longer than that. Removing the BMI measurement is a step in the wrong direction. Wrong answer. He said we don't have enough prevention as it is and we're moving away from prevention. No, we're not. Let me finish this. Dr. Siegel says he believed the AMA's new policy was fueled by body positivity movement, but he cautioned that removing the BMI measurement is a step in the wrong direction and could lead to bad health outcomes. No, it won't. If and only if you are measuring their body fat percentages and staying within the guidelines of what is a healthy body fat percentage for males and females. If you do that, nothing bad will happen. But if you just do away with it and just go by your feelings, yes, it will end up in a bad outcome. However, if we take the common sense practice of measuring body fat not by skin folds, but by actual measurements that can actually tell you what your body fat percentage really is, hydrostatic weighing, hello, bod pod, hello, and then we will have a measurement. While Siegel does agree with the AMA's assertion that visceral fat, which is the fat that is around the abdomen, is the most worrisome type, he said he still relies on the BMI as an overall indication of whether someone is at a higher risk of diabetes. Why would you determine someone... I'm about to punch my screen if I see one more moronic thing from this doctor. People, let me tell you something right now. If this is your doctor, run. If this dude is your doctor, run. If this dude is your doctor, this dude is your doctor, run. Run for your life. Go find a new doctor. Get out of that insurance cluster. Get out. He's a moron with a doctor's degree. What do you call a doctor that graduated last in his class? Doctor. So, let me explain to you why. Because what is the measurement that doctors use currently to tell you that you're at a high risk for diabetes? I'll wait. Sing along with me, children. It's called A1C. It's called your blood sugar count, your blood glucose measurement. The combination of the two lets people know whether or not you're at a high risk of diabetes. How do I know? Back in the day when I was 180 pounds, my blood sugar was normal, but my A1C was on the borderline of 6, which they tell you is the borderline for pre-diabetes. 7 is diabetic. So how is it that the United States military can tell me that I'm a pre-diabetic not because of my weight, but because of my diet at the time? And yes, I was eating horribly just to see how big I can get. And guess what? Soon as I changed my diet and stopped eating so much sugar, back to normal. Lost the 30 pounds and I'm back to normal. Imagine that. My body fat percentage was high back then. It was very close to 20. So imagine that. My body fat percentage was close to 20 and diabetes was around the corner. My A1C was high. But yet, this dude is talking about using the BMI to tell him whether or not somebody's at a high risk of diabetes. Shut the front door. Diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and high blood pressure. Don't we test for indicators of cancer? Don't we test things like cholesterol levels for heart disease, the risk of heart disease? Don't we test sodium levels to determine whether or not somebody's a prime candidate for high blood pressure? So how the flying uncle catching kangaroos does you not know what to measure to determine these things except for BMI, that you desperately need to cling to BMI to figure this out. I don't need someone taking a tool out of my toolbox. And that's what we're doing here, he said. Oh! A tool out of your toolbox, but not the tool. If you're a carpenter, you need a hammer. You need a hammer more than you need any other tool on the planet. You need a saw, but more than anything else, you need a hammer and some nails, right? But guess what? They got nail guns. So do you really need a hammer now? Or can you just get a better tool? A more effective, more efficient, more accurate tool. One that will get you the results that you want in a faster period of time. Again, if that is your doctor, run. This is politics, not medicine. And I'm going to land this plane. I'm telling you, champions out there, if your doctor is merely using the BMI index as a means to determine your health, or as a means to determine their commentary about your health, find another doctor. And those of you doctors that are out there that might even remotely think about watching this channel, let me explain something to you. You are causing more problems than you're helping by utilizing this tool as a means to let someone know or let them believe that they are obese. Now, yes, if you're swimming in your own skin, chances are you're obese. However, just because your height is bigger than your height over your weight is larger than that 18 to 25 doesn't mean you're fat. You just might have had a former NFL linebacker in your family that happens to be your dad or your grandpa. So, the late great Kevin Samuels actually used to comment on women that claimed that they were a certain height and 200 and plus pounds. And he said, you're an NFL running back. You're the size of an NFL running back. Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith was about 210 pounds. So, if a woman weighs 210 pounds and is anywhere between 5'5" and 5'9", he's accurate with the assessment. However, he might be even more accurate than he even intended, because the Lord only knows who her dad was, who her mom was. So you're telling me that Shaquille O'Neal's mom, who bore Shaquille O'Neal, couldn't produce daughters that were equally as large, if not larger than her? Would they be fat? But that's another question for another day. And do me a favor. Do me a huge favor. Educate yourselves on this information so that you can make sure that your doctor is giving you the information you need so that you can be the best you. Guys, plane has landed. We're about to embark or disembark. And your luggage is in the carousels below. I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening. If you have not subscribed to this channel, feel free to subscribe and click the all notifications button to get every bit of information that I put out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Have a nice day. Be the best you. Class is Stoutt.